Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to jump in and talk to you all about your sessions at Denver Startup Week. Again, just thanks so much for everything that you're doing to bring Startup Week to life. And we hope to go through some things that you'll need to know between now and Startup Week, and then answer any questions that you may have as we are approaching the week itself. So we're going to go through what does a hybrid Denver Startup Week look like, session roles and timeline, go through some frequently asked questions, talk about resources that are available for your live event, and then go through some tips for pre-recording, live recording, and engaging your audience. We'll spend some time talking about our diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility initiatives, and finally end with how to promote and publicize your event, and then take any questions that you have. Feel free to also use the chat throughout this presentation if you have questions that you'd like us to answer as we're going through any of these things, and we'll either answer them live or answer them at the end. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Connor Swanson with the developer track to talk about what hybrid looks like this year.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Chantel. As mentioned, I'm Connor Swanson, co-chair for the developer track here at Denver Startup Week. I'm just going to provide a quick overview on the hybrid format that we're again using this year. As you can see on the slide, there's some overview information there. This year the continued safety and comfort of our community is top of mind as we present DSW in a hybrid format. We're committed to accessibility for all of our participants with varied preferences for interacting in person during the pandemic. This means that almost all the sessions will be held virtually as Zoom webinars. If you have not had a specific conversation with an organizing committee or staff member about your session happening in person, it will be a Zoom webinar. The in-person interaction will be concentrated on our social and headline events, including keynotes, happy hours, the job fair, and the physical product showcase. Every session that is presenting a content-based program, for example, a keynote presentation, will also be live streamed. I'll hand it off to John, who will chat a little bit more about the sessions.
Thank you, Connor. Hi, everyone. I'm John Wilker, the Spotlight and Headline Events Track Chair. For your session, you'll be working with a team to ensure that the event runs smoothly. And this team will include your track chair, if you're Spotlight, that's me, as well as another member from the DSW organizing committee or staff, as well as your day of volunteer. And those will be assigned by the DSW team before your test run. You're the leader of this team, though, and so ultimately you're the responsible party for the content of your session. Volunteers are here to support you in that mission. We'll be hosting test runs the entire week of content during the week prior, so September 27th through October 1. So please be prepared to present your production plan during this run through. Come prepared with any questions, polls, slides, videos, etc. Anything that you want to work with the team on as far as your actual session during the real week. We'll be going through your entire program then. This ensures that we can kind of iron out all the kinks so that we do it that week when no one is watching versus live when you are doing it for the entire DSW audience. As they say, practice makes perfect. We've sent out, or we will be sending out an email with a link to schedule your test run online. You'll get a Zoom invite for that meeting, and then communicate with your session team about specifics on who will host the meeting. Only one host is able to assign breakout rooms and change screen sharing settings and things like that. After your test run, keep an open line of communication with your assigned session volunteer. And remember, you'll find out who that is during that run-through time. This allows you to provide any changes or updates or anything like that to your session to your volunteer to make sure that those changes get reflected back to where they need to be. The volunteers will be there for technical assistance only, so it's up to you to present your slides, moderate any chat, panel, anything like that. That's all for you. Our side of things will just be making sure that nothing breaks. If it does break, it's fixed fast. Also ensure that the DSW Code of Conduct is linked in the session chat at the start of each session. To run your actual presentation during your slot, you'll receive a unique panelist link for your session that you'll use to gain access to your session stage. Don't freak out if you don't get it first thing in the morning or the night before. We'll send those out when the time is right. So just check your email. You'll be assigned a volunteer that'll regenerate and resend those links if they get misplaced. Your panelists will get a panelist link. You'll get the moderator or host link. Check and test all of your settings before your session goes live, and then be ready to join backstage where you'll be able to kind of be in this setting before it actually flips over to where everyone can watch you, so that you can get everything set up, make sure your slides are showing properly and things like that. Plan that about 15 minutes prior to your scheduled time in order to ensure that everything is working properly. Any last minute hitches can be ironed out beforehand. With that, I will hand it over to my colleague, Ryan.
All right, thanks, John. Hey, everybody, I'm Ryan. I am the track chair, or the product track chair for Denver Startup Week. And I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about next steps. So the very first thing we need y'all to do, and this needs to be done by this Friday, so you have just a few days, is confirm your event and the speakers for it. So these 4 steps. Confirm your session date and time. There's a link there. You'll see this deck, denverstartupweek.org/dashboard. Confirm your description is accurate and compelling and includes all relevant speakers. Request that all speakers register for Denver Startup Week by Friday, of course, and then email your track chair or info at Denver Startup Week if anything is missing or incorrect. So by doing that, it allows us to send the Zoom links to all the participants, make sure they get added as participants on the panel and not just participants in the webinar. So please make sure to get that done by Friday. We try our best, but there are over 200 sessions for Denver Startup Week, and there's only a few of us. So unfortunately, we do sometimes mess up. We got your back. We'll make it right. Everything will work out in the end. Just stay in touch with your track chair and your volunteers, and we will make it work. On our next slide here, did you already move? Oh, sweet. Okay. If you take one thing away from this session, please do this. Again, have all your speakers registered for Denver Startup Week. Submit your list of panelists to your track chair. That is the only way we'll be able to generate those links. So sign up for the test run the week of September 27th. John already mentioned that. Check your emails for that. Email your track chair, stay in touch with questions. Again, everybody needs to register. Chantal, do we have the dates messed up a little bit here? Because we're saying, please have everybody register by this Friday, not by next Friday. Is that correct on here? Sorry.
Yes, everyone should be registered by this Friday.
Okay, cool. Sorry if it's a little bit misleading, but please have everybody registered by this Friday. Anyone that's on your panel and that your track chair has their contact info and can add them as a presenter to the session. Cool, I think that's it. And I will turn it over to Olivia for the next steps.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. Just want to talk real quickly about FAQs. So DSW, hopefully, as you know, is committed to supporting you in presenting your live webinar. If you would like to host a watch party or a small gathering for your session, you're welcome to do so as long as you still live stream your content to Zoom and follow the guidelines I'm going to go over in just a second. We did have a question in the chat with regard to an earlier note of the trial run and if that is required. It is not required, but it's super, super highly recommended, because if you're doing a gathering for your session and you're live streaming it and you're in a big room and you have a little laptop that's trying to capture, maybe 5 or 6 panelists, the sound might not be that great. So especially if you're doing it in a room and your panelists aren't on their own laptops in different places, we highly recommend doing that for sound, because you need to live stream your content. So as you are live streaming, we require that session organizers follow the most current guidelines for gathering safely as expressed and communicated by local, state, and federal mandates. So if you're going to do a watch party, or if you have a panel and you want a couple people to watch, make sure that you're doing that. You must schedule a test run, as I just said, with our staff and volunteers just to figure out that sound quality, the stage layout, and the staff roles. Because our event is hybrid, but because the majority of all of our sessions will be live streamed, we really want to make sure that the quality of your live stream is there. And we just don't want to have to work out any last minute tweaks as the session is being streamed live. And then lastly here, please be aware that DSW is not liable for offsite events this year and will not be providing logistics such as volunteers, signage, etc., or any other support for any physical in-person events occurring outside of our official venues. All right, next slide. Some more FAQs here. At the beginning of your session, DSW videos will be played very similar to last year that acknowledge your sponsor, a welcome from the track chair, and that will be only about 10 minutes at the very start. And then you will be taking it away as the session organizer. Logos and branding, we do have a style guide with some brand assets at denverstartupweek.org/assets. And then make sure that you use our pre-built DSW templates. We have Zoom backgrounds that you can leverage. We have slides, a lot of really great things all available on our website. Again, denverstartupweek.org/assets, available for both Keynote and PowerPoint. All right, so some tips for virtual sessions, and I'll go through these kind of quickly. You all can screenshot this, or we'll also make this available afterwards. But create a place for yourself and your session in your home, and the space should have good lighting. Always face the light. Sometimes I'll put my laptop in a window and actually look out the window. This makes for great lighting. Make sure that there are no windows behind you. And make sure that you have a background that's not distracting. In case your Zoom background malfunctions, sometimes a Zoom background does not work well if the lighting isn't just perfect. So just making sure that you are mindful of that. Make sure that your internet is speedy. You don't want to drop out of your own session or have things running really slowly and choppy. Think about framing and composition when setting up your shot. A good approach is to have your head, shoulders, upper torso. I know this sounds like really simple and like a no-brainer, but some people don't know these things. So this should ensure that you are not too close to your camera, but also not too far away from your camera as well. Use the best quality camera that you have access to. So sometimes the built-in webcam on your laptop might be fine. And then in other models, it might not be the best. You may have a dedicated webcam that provides better picture if you hook it up to, or even a DSLR that you can use. Alternatively, you have a high-end phone. This might actually be better using your phone than your laptop. So play around with that a little bit. Try to aim for a resolution of at least 720 or 1080. We will be putting this on YouTube, and so a lot of times people blow things up for full screen. We just don't want things to be pixelated. An app like Camo will also let you use your high quality camera phone camera as a webcam. Use the microphone on a headset or a pair of headphones. Some of you have little lapel mics that you can plug straight into your phone or your laptop as well. Instead of speaking into the microphone on your computer, this provides a much better sound and helps eliminate additional noise such as computer keyboard clicking, humming, etc. And then, like I said, if you are gathering your panelists in a room together, you definitely want to test out that sound with us to make sure that we can hear everyone clearly and no one is muffled. If you are referencing slides while you're speaking, remember to look at your audience. Sometimes I'll put a little sticky note right next to the eye of my camera to make sure that I'm looking at the audience instead of always looking at my slides or myself. And then if sitting feels too stuffy or constricting, try standing. A lot of times that'll help you present in a more natural way if you want to use your hands, and help you feel more comfortable in ensuring good audience experience. I'll do this last one. All right, feel free to record from home. And then saving any high quality video format is fine once you do record from home. During your session, play the local file from your laptop. So one thing that I want to stress, because I've had a couple questions from founder sessions, is that unlike last year where we had you send us your pre-recorded video, we had a deadline for that, etc. Session organizers are handling their own pre-recorded videos themselves. There are several of you that want to pre-record an intro or want to record your entire session, and that's fine, but you will be responsible for playing that video from your computer, not from YouTube or Venmo, because we don't want any glitches. You would need to play that yourself at your scheduled time on your scheduled and assigned Zoom links. So hopefully that makes sense. Jessica had a question, why would you pre-record? Some people just want to do a fancy pre-record and play it instead of having to do it live, which is totally fine, up to you, but you will all manage that. Multiple takes are totally okay. If you are pre-recording, don't feel like you have to get it perfect, but it is up to you to create your final video, do your final editing, get it all ready so that when your time is up and you're ready to go live, that you play your own video from your laptop. And then there's an article on our website that we'll put together, that we put together to help you create an unforgettable session. There's a lot of really great tips in there that we also learned from last year if you want to check that out as well.
So we'll talk a little bit now about ways to engage your audience virtually. So the first tip that we have is don't try to go it alone during your session if at all possible. Try to have another person on your staff, a volunteer, even a friend to join you and help focus on the audience engagement portion of your session. So that could look like somebody who's helping to look at the chat, answering Q&A, moderating Q&A at the end. If you get a lot of questions at once, it can be helpful to have somebody who's sorting through those and highlighting ones for you to answer. So think about finding some support during your session. Make use of Zoom's built-in chat, use social media to engage your audience. We'd like to let you know that the size of the live audience in Zoom is limited to 300, so everybody can have a great experience, but everything will also be simultaneously broadcast to YouTube Live, which has no limit of people who can watch your session on YouTube Live. All of the content at Startup Week will be recorded and it will be shared afterward on our YouTube channel and on the Startup Week website. It won't be available necessarily immediately after it goes live. We like to encourage people to attend the actual session and interact in real time, but it will all be available for you to use afterward. I think it's Diane now.
Hi, I'm Diane Miles, and I am the DE&I co-chair. At Denver Startup Week, we strive to make all of our sessions a space where attendees can connect, learn, and grow, regardless of gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, sexual orientation, and the combination of those identities. Moreover, we strive to hold events that not just include, but affirm the identities of everyone present. Hosting an inclusive session takes intentional work and action by you, the organizers. So there is a link here to take a close look at the Denver Startup Week Code of Conduct. We're working to make sure that DE&I and accessibility is not just a tag word, but it is ingrained throughout Denver Startup Week. So make sure your panelists are reflective of that and of the people that attend Denver Startup Week. And so some of those things are, does my message support the belief? Some of the things that we want to think about in DE&I, or does my message support the belief that everyone is welcome here? Am I avoiding jargon and overly technical language or briefly explaining terms? If someone who isn't my target is in the room, would they leave with a positive impression? Do my examples and pictures show diversity, diverse people, roles, companies, locations, etc.? And is the language I use non-gendered? Am I aware of the assumptions I'm making? If they are wrong, how do I correct them? Do I avoid making judgments? If not, can I correct them? And are my jokes actually funny, or are they offensive? And who is the butt of the joke? And will they feel welcomed, or will they be offended? And I am here as a resource for you. So if you have any questions or need any help with any of the DE&I stuff, I'm happy to help.
Okay, so accessibility at Denver Startup Week. We're committed to providing accommodations for everyone who needs it to attend our free event. So closed captioning will be provided for sessions on YouTube Live. ASL and multi-language interpretation will be offered live at some sessions. And we can take requests for those sessions if you know that yours would be one that you would like to have ASL interpretation or Spanish or another language. Please let us know by September 24th and we can go ahead and put that request in. Finally, promotion. So we have sent out a speaker toolkit to everybody to use to promote your participation in Startup Week and to talk about your session. Also, if you've been looking at our emails, we've been doing some story gathering from our community. So you can click through our regular marketing emails and submit your story to be shared with the Denver Startup Week community. But just remember that your network and our traditional network may not overlap. So any promotion that you can do is wonderful to get more people attending Startup Week and attending your session. We recommend using Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and more to promote your session. Encourage your internal teams and staff to register for your session and other events and help spread the word. When you're talking about us on social media, make sure to tag and mention us. We're happy to retweet and get the word out wherever we can. You could ask your panelists, supporters, and other groups that you're a part of to promote your session. And you can use our hashtag Den Startup Week everywhere when you're talking about promoting sessions. A couple other things I'll cover since I'm still talking before we take questions. In terms of the events that are happening in person at Denver Startup Week, if your event is happening in person at our headquarters, it'll be listed that way on the schedule, and people who are interested in attending will first add the virtual session to their schedule. And then next week, we'll be sending out a special RSVP link for those sessions so that attendees can register to attend in person. This is part of our initiative to keep everyone safe, keep track of who is coming to our in-person events, and knowing that we have a limited capacity, trying to get a handle on who is actually planning to attend and who's happy to watch the live stream. I think with that, there were also a lot of questions about assets, so stay tuned. We'll update those as soon as we can later today. And let's go through some more questions, team. If anybody else had questions they wanted to address live, now's the time. Yes, we'll send out these slides. This whole presentation is being recorded. So this will go up on our YouTube, and we'll send this out to session organizers that weren't able to attend. We'll send the slide deck. You'll be able to share it with your panelists or anybody else who needs them. The way to use the assets that we mentioned, those will be Zoom backgrounds, PowerPoint templates, and promotional assets. So you could use that, for example, if you're creating a Facebook post and you want to put your headshot on a Denver Startup Week template. You could use the PowerPoint template for your slide deck during Denver Startup Week, that kind of thing.
Hey, Chantel, Vanessa has a good
All
question.
speakers register by this Friday. Please just do your very best to get everyone to register by this Friday. The flow of our administration is that we need everybody entered in our system in order to get out the panelist links. So please just do your best. If it goes beyond that, just try to give us a heads up, but please just encourage them as much as you can to get them registered by Friday the 17th. The sessions will be, so the sessions can be either a Zoom meeting or a Zoom webinar. So when working with your track chair, it's best to let them know if you would like it to be a meeting or a webinar. In a Zoom meeting, people can interact freely on camera and speak up whenever they want and share their screen. In a Zoom webinar, people, that's what we're in right now. So the participants can only interact with chat and Q&A. So depending on the level of control that you'd like to have during your session, you might choose to have it set up as a webinar or as a meeting if it's something that's more interactive. Another major difference is that in Zoom meetings, you can use breakout rooms and not so in Zoom webinars. Another question about a slide deck. You don't have to use the Denver Startup Week template, so don't worry about that if you already have a deck going. We ask that you put in our title slide at the beginning for your track, and that'll be available on the assets page, but you can use your own deck if you already have one built with graphics and masters. Claire, your question about testing out Zoom functionality before the day of, that's the role of that test run. So we encourage you to sign up for a test run the week before so that you can try things like deploying polls and surveys and figuring out meeting rooms and all that good stuff. Yes, if you presented last year, we had a very specific Google Doc that everybody needed to fill out, and that I think might have been a little more trouble than it was worth. So just work with your track chair, get everybody registered, send them your panelists, and we'll work from there. We're coming up on time here now. So just as a reminder, this has all been recorded. It will be shared out with you afterward. Please remember the major deadline of trying to get everybody registered for this Friday. And then please remember that next week you should be working with your track chair to get all your panelists added and sign up for your test run. And in the email that we send out after this, we'll include this recording as well as all the track chair information so that you can reach out to them if needed. And again, thanks everybody. A huge thanks to our organizing committee who's on here and has been leading this session. They've been working so hard behind the scenes to help you all and pull this off. And we're so appreciative of them and of you. So thanks again and have a great rest of your day.